Rafael Nadal waded into the fierce political debate in men's tennis and criticized the ATP for not offering financial support to flood-hit Majorca. The disaster in October happened in the neighboring village to Nadal's hometown of Majorca, with 13 people losing their lives, including the cousin of one of his best friends and her son. Nadal was pictured the following day helping with the cleanup efforts and also opened his tennis academy to victims of the floods before donating €1 million (900,000) to the cause. Speaking after a 6-4, 6-3, 7-5 victory over James Duckworth in the first round of the Australian Open, Nadal expressed his disappointment that the players' organization had not offered any help. He said, "If something happens to the country of one of the players that did, in my opinion, important things for this sport and give a lot of things to the sport, I would love to see the organization that is running the sport supporting that person. It didn't happen in my case. I can't be happy with that." Created with sketch. Andy Murray refused to go down without a fight against Roberto Bautista Agut, but the Brit dropped the first set after being broken late on. Britain's Dan Evans reacts during his victory over Japan's Tatsuma Ito. Katie Boulter celebrates her victory over Ekaterina Makarova in the Australian Open first round. Ekaterina Makarova is one of the most experienced players on the tour but was beaten by Boulter. Britain's Heather Watson reacts after her defeat against Petra Martic. Watson was distraught at her early exit. Maria Sharapova of Russia shakes hands with Harriet Dart of Great Britain after a 6-0 victory. Tomas Berdych celebrates his victory over Kyle Edmund. Tomas Berdych shakes hands with Kyle Edmund after his Australian Open first-round victory. Rafael Nadal followed his Australian Open victory over James Duckworth by criticizing the ATP. Roger Federer celebrates after his victory over Denis Istomin. Andy Murray refused to go down without a fight against Roberto Bautista Agut, but Brit dropped the first set after being broken late on. Britain's Dan Evans reacts during his victory over Japan's Tatsuma Ito. Katie Boulter celebrates her victory over Ekaterina Makarova in the Australian Open first round. Ekaterina Makarova is one of the most experienced players on the tour but was beaten by Boulter. Britain's Heather Watson reacts after her defeat against Petra Martic. Watson was distraught at her early exit. Maria Sharapova of Russia shakes hands with Harriet Dart of Great Britain after a 6-0 victory. Tomas Berdych celebrates his victory over Kyle Edmund. Tomas Berdych shakes hands with Kyle Edmund after his Australian Open first-round victory. Rafael Nadal followed his Australian Open victory over James Duckworth by criticizing the ATP. Roger Federer celebrates after his victory over Denis Istomin. Nadal is also unhappy not to have been consulted about the future of ATP Executive Chairman and President Chris Kermode, whose position is understood to be under threat from the Player Council led by Novak Djokovic. Roger Federer said he would be talking to members of the council along with Nadal and Andy Murray to discuss the situation and voiced broad support for Londoner Kermode, whose second three-year term ends at the conclusion of the season. Nadal, like Federer and Murray, a former member of the council, also backs Kermode and is unhappy that his views have not been sought. He said of Djokovic, "I don't have to go and find him. He's in the council, they have to come to me. I believe in the projects as long-term, not short-term. And because of that, I believe that is not good to have changes all the time. I believe that Chris probably did some good work out there, and I don't see him doing negative things or enough negative things to not continue in the position." Rafael Nadal followed his Australian Open victory over James Duckworth by criticizing the AFP. Getty. Grigor Dimitrov was even more vociferous in his support for Kermode, saying, "I think changing Chris Kermode would be one of the biggest mistakes. Tennis is in such a good place. Everything has gone through so many good and positive changes. I wouldn't do that, absolutely." Dimitrov, now being coached by Andre Agassi, recovered from a set-down to beat Janko Tipsarevic 4-6, 6-3, 6-1, 6-4, while Nadal was happy with his performance in his first match in 4 months. Knee pain saw the Spaniard retire from his semi-final against Juan Martín del Potro at the US Open last September and, after an abdominal problem and ankle surgery ended his season early, he pulled out of the tournament in Brisbane last week with a minor thigh strain. Chris Wright is under pressure as the ATP executive chairman. Getty. Nadal remodeled his serve during that time and, although he was broken twice by Australian wildcard Duckworth, including when he served for the match, he was content with the new stroke. Federer kicked off his quest to win a 21st Grand Slam singles title with a straightforward 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 win over Denis Istomin. The double defending champion did not face a break point as he eased past the Uzbek, who had stunned Nadal in the same tournament 2 years ago. The 37-year-old Federer, who is also seeking his 100th major tournament win in Melbourne, will face Briton Dan Evans in round 2. Roger Federer celebrates after his victory over Denis Istomin. Reuters. 5th seed Kevin Anderson, who has been a Grand Slam finalist twice in the last 5 tournaments, avoided a second successive first-round exit here, beating Adrian Mannarino 6-3, 5-7, 6-2, 6-1. But 9th seed John Isner lost the Battle of the Towering Americans to 6 feet 11 inches Riley Opelka, with, not surprisingly, all the sets going to tiebreaks. There were also victories for 2 of the most exciting young talents on tour: 14th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas and Australian teenager Alex de Minaur. PA. Keep up to date with all the latest transfer news, rumors and done deals throughout the January window.